Did you know that someone has already done something for you without you knowing? Something done in silence, without any intention of recognition or for you to notice. It wasn't to impress. It wasn't to gain something in return. It was done because you matter, because the feeling was genuine. Now I want you to think for a moment. Is there someone in your life who always seems to be there, even if discreetly? Someone who does things for you that perhaps never come to your attention? Because often, the greatest proofs of love are the ones no one sees. It might have been a choice, a sacrifice, or even a simple act of protecting you from something you didn't even notice. Perhaps it was a silence during a fight to avoid hurting you more, or an enormous effort to support you, even when that person was exhausted. Have you ever stopped to think about it? Have you stopped to see beyond what is obvious? Who is by your side in secret, taking care of you in ways you can't measure? And more importantly, have you valued that? Do you notice what has been done? Or do you move on without recognizing the impact of these gestures? You may not have noticed, but there are things that have been done for you in silence, and it's likely they have never been mentioned. Do you know why? Because some people don't need to say what they do, they just do it. And often, this happens out of love, out of care, because they simply want to see you well, even if you never know what happened behind the scenes. Imagine, for example, someone who has put your needs above their own. Not because it was easy, but because it was the right thing to do at that moment. Perhaps it was a decision made without you ever suspecting, something that directly impacted your life and brought you to where you are now. It could have been the friend who stayed silent when you were wrong, just to not hurt you even more. Or that person who gave up something important just to give you a better chance of achieving what you wanted. Do you remember someone like that? Or better yet, have you ever stopped to recognize this? Because true love does not show itself in the obvious, in what is easy to notice. It is in what goes unnoticed. It's in that day when you were exhausted and someone saved you from a bigger problem. In that conversation you didn't even realize was planned to lighten the load you were carrying. And most importantly, in the moments when you didn't even know that someone was fighting for you out of your sight. Maybe the biggest problem with all of this is the way we are trained to only see what is visible, what is announced. But those who truly love you are not interested in announcing anything. Because true love doesn't need stages. It happens in the shadows, in the spaces between the lines, in what almost no one pays attention to. And there lies the question, have you been paying attention? Have you looked at the people around you and recognized what they do for you? Because if you take a moment to think, it may be that someone has done something so significant, something that changed the course of your life, but you never noticed, not because you don't care, but because no one told you. And do you know what is most beautiful about all of this? The person who did it didn't expect you to notice. The person who did it because they love you, because they feel something for you that goes beyond any need for recognition. But this doesn't mean that you shouldn't make an effort to see. Think about the last time you stopped to thank someone for no reason. The last time you looked into someone's eyes and said, I see you, I see what you do for me. And if you can't remember, maybe it's because it's time to start. Because that is how love is lost, when we let what is valuable pass by, because we are distracted by what seems urgent, when we don't recognize the effort of those who are there, holding things together for us, even if it means giving up something for themselves. Now I want you to reflect. Is there someone who might be doing something for you right at this moment without you knowing it? Someone who has already shown you, through small and consistent gestures, that they love you without needing words. And if that person exists, what will you do about it? Don't leave it for later. Don't wait until it's too late to recognize, to thank, to say that you see the value that person has in your life. Because even though those who love you expect nothing in return, deep down, we all want to feel seen, to know that what we do matters. And if by chance you still can't identify who is doing this for you, let me tell you something. Pay attention. Observe more. Look at the gestures, the silences, the choices made for your well-being. Because that is where true love resides. That is where you will find proof of how much someone cares for you. Love has this strange ability to go unnoticed. Not because it is weak or small, but because it is often expressed in such simple and genuine ways that it blends into the everyday, becoming part of what we consider normal. But the truth is, None of it is normal. Each gesture, each silence, each sacrifice carries weight. A meaning. Have you noticed how some people choose to take care of you without you seeing it? It's as if they create an invisible safety net around you, ensuring you don't stumble, even when you don't know there is something in your path. And they don't do it expecting a thank you. They do it because you matter. Now let me ask you something that may have never crossed your mind. How many times have you been saved without knowing? How many times has someone made a difficult decision for you? How many times has someone given up something important just to ensure you had what you needed? Are you living something today that is only possible because someone decided to do something in secret, something that may never be revealed? Think about that person who has always been by your side, even when you didn't ask for it. Who listened to you, even when you didn't have the words to express what you felt. Who saw your pain even before you understood what was hurting you. That person probably has done something for you that you never knew about. Maybe it was that message that arrived at just the right moment, that hug that seemed casual, but was given because they realized you needed it more than you were showing. Or who knows, it was a bigger choice, something they decided to do away from your eyes, something that required courage, self-denial, or even sacrifice. And you know what hurts the most? It's that many times these gestures are ignored, not out of malice, but because we are too busy to notice, because we live so hurriedly that we forget to look at the details. And it is in the details that love lives. Have you ever thought that maybe right now, as you hear this, someone is secretly doing something for you? It could be something simple, like protecting you from an uncomfortable situation, or something much bigger, something that you may never come to know but is significantly changing your life. And this raises an important question. How can you recognize something that was not meant to be noticed? How can you repay a gesture that was intentionally hidden, done with the sole intention of benefiting you? The answer is simpler than it seems. Observe more. Pay attention to the people around you. Notice who has always been there, even in moments when you didn't deserve it. Because true love is not in the grand gestures that everyone can see. It is in the details. It is in the patience to listen to your complaints, even when the person is also tired. It is in the way someone supports you, even when their life is in chaos. It is in the ability to choose what is best for you, even when it means giving up something important. And if you stop to reflect, you might discover that you have already ignored many of these gestures, not because you are ungrateful, but because you didn't know what to look for. But now you know. Now you have the chance to change that. So, here is what you can do. Start looking more closely. Look for those subtle signs of love and care. Say thank you more often, even without knowing exactly why. Tell people that you recognize their efforts, that you see them, that they are important to you. Because love, as silent as it may be, deserves to be recognized. And when you acknowledge it, something magical happens. The person who made the gesture, even without expecting anything, feels seen and valued. And this creates a cycle of love and care that only grows. And maybe you think, but what if I don't know who did this for me? What if no one has done anything? Well, even if you can't identify it now, that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It just means you need to be more attentive. Love is everywhere. It manifests in small actions, in glances, in choices you can't even imagine. But it is there. And when you start paying attention, the world changes. You begin to realize how much you are loved, how much you are cared for, how much someone is willing to do for you without you ever knowing. And this transforms not only how you see others, but also how you see yourself. So I ask you, what are you going to do with this? Will you continue going through life without noticing the gestures of love around you? Or will you start to pay attention, to value, to reciprocate in some way? True love is rare, and when it is present, it is a gift that should not be wasted. Recognize it, value it, and above all, do not wait until it is too late to tell someone. I see you. I know what you did for me, and I am grateful for it. True love is a force that often goes unnoticed, not because it is small or irrelevant, but because it chooses to manifest in ways that do not always draw attention. It does not shout, it does not demand recognition, it does not seek spotlight. But it is there in every small action, in every silent choice, in every moment when someone puts you above themselves. Now that you have come this far, I want you to think with me. Is there someone in your life who has done something for you that you never noticed? Someone who has made an important decision, given up something, or faced difficulties just to ensure that you were okay, that you had what you needed? Because often love is exactly that, acting in secret without expecting applause or rewards. And do you know what is most beautiful? True love does not need to be seen to be real. It continues to exist even when no one notices it, but that does not mean we should ignore it. Recognizing these gestures is a way to strengthen the bonds that unite us with the people who truly matter. It is a way of saying, I see you, I understand what you did for me, and I am grateful. So I want to make a request to you. Now that you understand the depth of this message, I want you to take action. Stop for a few minutes and reflect. Is there someone who has shown you this kind of love? Perhaps a friend, a family member, a partner, or even someone you are no longer in contact with. Who has done something for you that at the moment you did not notice, but looking back makes all the difference? If you can identify this person, the next step is simple but powerful. Reach out to them. It can be a message, a call, or even a personal conversation. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Just say that you noticed. Say that you recognize what was done and that it means a lot to you. This gesture, as simple as it may seem, can completely change that person's day, week, or even life. And if you can't think of anyone right now, don't worry. It doesn't mean that no one has done anything for you. It might just mean that you haven't taken the time to observe carefully. Sometimes the greatest acts of love are hidden in the smallest details. In the help offered at the right moment, in the time spent listening to you, in the patience shown when dealing with your flaws. Love is there, waiting to be recognized. Now, I want you to go further. Make this reflection a habit. Start observing the people around you more. Pay attention to gestures, words, silences. You will be surprised to discover how much love and care exists in your life, often coming from where you least expect it. And this isn't just about receiving, it's also about giving. When you realize the impact that silent love has on your life, it becomes easier to want to do the same for others. Small gestures can transform lives. A word of encouragement, an act of generosity, a choice made with another person's well-being in mind. All of this makes a difference, and all of this is love. So, I want to propose something to you. How about starting now? Think of someone in your life who might need a gesture of love, even if it's small. It could be a compliment, support, a message saying, I am here for you. It doesn't have to be grand. It just needs to be sincere. And while you reflect on this, I want to reinforce something important. You are part of something bigger. This message you just heard is not just for you. It is for all the people who, in some way, have experienced the power of true love, but perhaps haven't stopped to recognize it. That is why I want you to join this conversation. If this message touched you, I want you to share your experience. Is there someone who has done something for you that changed your life? Have you had the opportunity to recognize it? If so, share it in the comments. Your story can inspire others to reflect on what it means to truly love. And if you haven't experienced something like this yet, it's okay. Use this moment to start. Look around you. Pay attention. You might discover that love is closer than you imagine, just waiting to be noticed. Now, I want to ask a special favor. If this message made sense to you, if it brought you any kind of reflection or emotion, subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, you help us continue spreading messages like this. Messages that touch the heart and make people reflect on what really matters. Also, leave your like. This is not just to help us. It is a way to show that you value this type of content. Every like helps this message reach more people, and together we can create a chain of love, gratitude, and recognition. And last but not least, comment. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think about this. Is there someone who has done something for you that you would like to recognize now? Is there something you would like to say to that person? Share your story. I will be here reading every comment because this exchange is what makes all of this so special. True love doesn't need the spotlight, but it deserves to be recognized. And today you have the chance to do just that. Don't let it slip by. You are important, your voice matters, and together we can make this message something greater than any of us could imagine.